Good evening. The old man here. November 8th, 2024. I'd like to recap on the House of Representatives. We've got 211 seats at this time. I would have swore to God it was 212 yesterday, but whatever. We're at 211 with Alaska and Arizona still counting, and 2 districts in Washington state. That's about it on the political side. Tonight I'd like to talk about constitutional silver, or also known as junk silver or pre-65 U.S. coins. What I'd like to talk about tonight is figure out the value of your U.S. pre-65 coins. One way I do it, maybe this is a long way around, maybe somebody's got a better way. You can look on YouTube. There's quite a few guys breaking it down for you. This is the way I like to figure it out if you're specifically looking at dimes. In a roll of dimes, you've got $5. You multiply the 5 times 0.715. That equals 3.575 troy ounces of silver. And today, just before recording, actually the markets are closed now, so just before recording I looked at it, and it's 31.39 spot is price on silver tonight. You multiply that by the 3.575 troy ounces of silver, and that comes to 112.22 per roll, or $5 roll of silver dimes or pre-65 dimes. You consider there's 50 dimes in a roll. You divide the 112.22 by 50, and that gives you the value of spot value of $2.24 per dime. Dimes or constitutional will be sold by, you'll see it sold a couple different ways. I think they like to make things confusing so people don't really know what they're paying. One way it's sold is like, say, $1.99 over spot. Then you got to do the math a different way. Another way it's sold is times face value. So $2.24 per dime is 22.4 times face value. Now that spot, you're not going to buy it at spot. You're going to pay a little bit of a premium at any coin shop or pawn shop, or maybe even some jewelry stores will even carry constitutional silver. Not much, but sometimes you'll see it there as well. So with the $2 or 22 times 222 or 22 times 4 face value, or 22.4 times face, I would expect to pay somewhere around 24 times face, or 24.5 times face right now. I hope that makes sense. Again, I probably should recap. So in other words, a $5 roll of dimes times 0.715 equals 3.575 troy ounces of silver. With a spot price of $31.39, that gives you $112.22 per roll is what spot is. You've got 50 dimes in a roll. Divide the 112.22 by 50, and that gives you $2.24 per dime is spot. And spot is determined by the U.S. Futures market. That changes day to day. The market is closed, and they are closed on the weekends, but it will open again. I believe it is 6 o'clock on Sunday night is when the Asian markets open. I think that's actually Japan opens at 6 o'clock our time. But that, again, that gives you 22.4 times face is the one way they talk about it is when they're selling it. That is your spot price. And again, I wouldn't be surprised to pay somewhere in that 24.5 times face, somewhere in there, or even 25 times face. So in other words, at that point, you'd be paying, at 25 times face, you'd be paying $2.50 per dime is the face value. One analogy, a lot of people say, well, why would I want to invest in silver? One thing I like to talk about, if you took 2 dimes that were silver in 1964, 20 cents, you could buy a gallon of gas. Today, at let's say 224 in value, 224 in value for each dime, take 2 dimes, that's $4.48. You can still easily buy a gallon of gas. So that's your silver hold its value over time from 1964 till today. What is that? 58 years, 50, whatever, however many years. That's pretty dang good for holding its value. Silver's a little bit on the speculative side, mostly because it's kind of a small market, and it does have lots of up and down movement. Over the last few days, since Trump won, the stock market's up quite a bit. The euphoria of they just think that he's going to do a great job, of which he is, but that's only going to hold up so long in a market that actually a financial system that's been all its problems have been covered up for years, and I think they're about ready to do a rug pull. We'll see how that works out. But again, dimes or silver are more affordable than gold, but gold is more steady. Gold can go up and down. It actually has gone up or come down quite a bit, come down $100 a day after the election, but it's stabilized. And for the long term, long haul, less of a gamble, gold, I think, is your better bet. So in other words, somebody my age would probably be better off to pretty much be stacking gold, especially if you're getting into it late. You can buy gold in, small quantities. You're going to pay a higher premium on small quantities than you will, let's say, a 1 ounce of gold. You'll pay almost no premium over spot. But yet on let's say, a gram of gold, you're going to pay quite a bit over spot. So it's more affordable entry level to buy a gram of gold, but you're going to pay more of a premium when you buy the smaller quantities. That's why a lot of people go to silver, because it seems to be more affordable. If I was younger, let's say 20 years old, I would be stacking mostly silver. I wouldn't be stacking that much gold. It'd be more speculative. I've got more time for the market to really rise. Time in the market is where you want to be. Let's say I was 20, I got 40 years to be in the market of silver. Over 40 years, pretty much the silver's only going to go in one direction over 40 years. Now, in a 5-year time span or a 2-year time span, you might find where silver's down. And if you really need to cash out at that point, that's going to kind of suck. But if you had invested in gold instead, it's going to be a lot more stable over time. It is also going up over time, unlike the value of your dollar. If you had a dollar in 1965, a dollar bill in 1965, today that same dollar bill is not going to buy very much. But like I said, them 2 silver dimes that were only worth 20 cents back then will still buy you a gallon of gas plus. Actually, if you do the math, I think you're looking actually at about a gallon and a half of gas. But whatever, the silver is holding its value. That dollar wouldn't even get you what, a third of a gallon of gas? Not even a third of a gallon of gas. That same dollar bill from 1965. So silver's holding its value. Obviously, the dollar bill is not holding its value. They tell you you got 2% inflation every year. Well, we know better than that. Even in normal times, I think they're telling you 2, and it's more like 4 or 5. In these times where they were telling you it was 9, there's a guy, he runs Shadow Stats, and you can find that on the internet. And they're showing that during this last bit of inflation, when they said we had 9%, it was actually closer to 20%, something like 18% inflation, and that never goes away. That inflation, that 9% from that year is added to everything it was in the previous years. And now, let's say the next year was 3%. Well, you add 3% inflation onto that. If it's 3% this year, you add it onto that. So everything just keeps going up, and that dollar is in value keeps going down. When everything's going up in price, that means your dollar's worth less. We get a lot of guys in here, firearms are a commodity. And they'll say, well, I remember when I could buy that gun for $100 and now it's $500. Jesus, Jenny, man, them things have really gone up. No, they haven't. That commodity is not worth any more or any less than it was 30 years ago. It's just your dollar is worth less. Your dollar buys less. In other words, it takes more dollars to buy the same thing you used to buy. If that gun would have cost, let's say back in 1965, that gun cost, $100 back in 1965, probably wouldn't have cost you not even maybe 20 ounces of silver, okay? But today, that same 20 ounces of silver would buy that gun plus a couple more like it. So again, the silver's gone up in value, or at least held its value, and that dollar bill is just fading away. We're in the last, I believe, to be the last part of the dollar, the fake dollar money system. I don't think it's got many years left. In fact, I think it's got not many months left, but we'll see about that. They bandaged things up and made it last for a while before. Maybe they can do it again. There's lots of word out there about possibly Trump adding the feds. A lot of people think the federal central bank is part of the government. It's not. It's a private bank. They were put in charge in 1931, possibly 31, 33. I need to look that up and bring that up again on the next video. I'll make sure, I'll see when that first central bank charter was, and I'll bring that up. But basically, the central banks, they control the banking system. Basically, they're figuring out how they can rob you of your wealth. That's the only purpose behind the central bank. No other purpose at all. Well, I noticed the video's getting a little long. I'm going to cut it off here. I appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Thank you, and have a good night. Bye-bye.